But I think what really matters is I think Dan Schulman is an honorable man. I went over the interview word by word, I don't know, about 10 times. I was up very late on this because I was so discouraged. You have a day like we have Alphabet, you had UPS, and you go home and your wife wants to know what's the matter, and she says, have a drink. I said, no, it's well beyond having a drink. Multiple downgrades. It is a disaster.
But is it PayPal specific, or is there any larger takeaway?
Nobody cares.
Carl mentioned Visa,
cares.
MasterCard, Amex have all been strong, but consumer spending since October has come down, right? Inflation concerns. People now seem to be spending a lot more on things like travel, perhaps, than on goods. Google said search is up sixfold for travel.
And now, Dan, if Dan were here, he'd say, what are you talking about? We had a great year in 2021. We're adding a huge number of people. We've got the best buy now, pay later. We've got much more than everybody else. We've got a great wallet. Cramer, you're out of your mind. But you see, I'm not out of my mind because there's a chart on our screen. And that chart on the screen says that Dan Schulman does not realize the depths of which people were believing in him and have felt let down. Now, at down 40, was it deserve that after being down at being at 300? No, but there's a level of anger that people can't stand. And this is about anger.
But I still wonder,
I want to be dispassionate.
You don't think it's reflective of any sort of a slowdown at all in the growth of e-commerce or anything like that?
No, I believe...
Because then there could be a read-through even for Amazon's numbers.
No, there could be, but I don't. I think Dan's going to... He reiterates going back to 20% growth. He does talk about the next quarter's not good. It could be 15%. I don't even know if they can do that. They have the separation from eBay. It has been a nightmare.
eBay has been much more of an impact than perhaps they led us to believe.
No, but, or perhaps they didn't know. Mm-hmm. What I didn't like was they did not seem to have any sense in the call that what happened in 2021 was really kind of irrelevant. They think it's relevant. And that the forecast was not such a departure from what we expected. So it would have been, I think, better had Dan Schulman said, I'm sorry, we let you down. Now CEOs are afraid to do that, Carl. But he's not a regular CEO.
You're saying they just didn't soften the market up for something like this?
No. And the lack of
we should we should take a listen to what Schulman did have to say.
Sure, was very bullish.
Just to take a listen to the conference call from PayPal.
Supply chain issues disproportionately impacted our cross-border volumes and our small business merchants. Inflationary pressures impacted spending within certain segments of our user base. Rising threats from COVID variants cut travel and event bookings, and the elimination of government stimulus had an impact as well. E-commerce growth rates during the holiday season were lower than industry expectations, despite a strong two-year growth rate of almost 50%. And we are also lapping some of the strongest quarters of growth in our history.
Doesn't sound so good for e-commerce.
MasterCard disagreed when it came to cross-border. American Express disagreed when it came to small, medium-sized business. Visa disagreed when you talk about travel. Google, Alphabet disagreed when you talk about travel. There has been no indication so far that we're seeing any dramatic fall-off in consumer spend during this period. Against all that is a company that does have a lot of different, many users, and they do have a breach of things. But supply chain and inflation, we're going to speak to a man very shortly who had to deal with supply chain issues, Kevin Johnson, 2 price increases, a third coming, and no degradation of top line. So I have to look now. Maybe you could say, Jim, take the hairsuit off. No, I mean I've gone over every single line, and I just don't. It just doesn't add up.
Well, really quick, just a quick bridge to the macro, because ADP was down 300K for the month. Real earnings are negative. Stimulus is not happening this year the way it happened last year. The savings rate is down. People have lost money in stocks. People have lost money in crypto. You don't think any of that matters?
Well, look, it does matter. And I saw Dan on November 3rd, at the end of the month, and that was before Omicron. I think that let's say these matter, and they all do matter. when you think you're going from 50 million new ads to 15 million new ads, that is a statement which just says that perhaps the kind of thing people they were adding were wrong. It has to do with the rear view. It just says basically what we were doing may not be as good as we said it was. And yes, buy now, pay later is very strong. And yes, I actually do believe to not sell it. I will never sell it here, these levels. But when you have someone who's willing to sell it down 40, they're willing to sell it down 50 because they're furious and they don't believe in management. I will not do that. I will not abandon Dan on the basis of 3 bad quarters. And you say 3 bad quarters. I mean, come on.